tell me what you're doing here.
Let's flip a coin. Heads I tell you, tails we go out on a date.
Warning, Otaku contains adult language and discussion. If you're easily offended, do not continue to listen. It's over 9,000!
All right, everybody, welcome back to yet another episode of Otalku Force. I, as always, am your host, Gregory Darkside Holmes. And folks, you can always find us on RaymanDigitalMedia.com, on your favorite streaming platforms, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. So, folks, we are here again with another set of show reviews and recommendations. We're so happy that you guys join us. You guys let us into your ear holes, your homes, wherever, and listen to us banter and me mostly yell at David half the show.
You let Greg put his big Viking cock in your ear holes. Thank you, everyone.
God damn it, we're not going to get away from that now. Shit we say before the show. But anyway, so, again, thank you guys. And in studio today, as always, is my Filipino brother from another mother, Mr. David Sabal.
Ohio.
Thank God. For those who didn't hear the last show, David had an error like a Windows machine. Went, ding.
Oh, yeah. I've literally just lost.
Yeah, don't worry. We reinstalled a fresh copy of Windows 10 into David with a backup of Linux, just in case. And as always, personing the board, we have Mr. Michael Flores. Who's always there with something partly offensive to say at the start of the show. But that's why we have everybody here. So that one of us says something stupid and everybody else can make fun of him for it. Or just laugh. So again, guys, as always, as we've come to basically review a couple shows, make our recommendations on whether or not we feel that they're good to check out. We're going to start off with yet another webtoon comic turned anime. This one is Noblesse, which is about Ray wakes up from 820-year-long sleep and starts his new life as a student in a high school founded by his loyal servant, Frankenstein. But his peaceful days with other human students are soon interrupted by mysterious attackers known as the Union. Or the Unions, I'm sorry. This is actually produced by Production IG, who's worked on many shows. One most notable one is Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh.
So this one, the art style, the animation style definitely harkens back to mid-90s shows. If you know of Clamp, it really kind of struck a chord with me, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of the way the main character Ray looks is very X-1999, very handsome, very Fushigi Yugi looking gentleman. So this definitely has like an old anime feel, the way everybody looks. Everything's kind of crisp and, shiny. And the characters all have their own personality, which I think is great. And so for the voice acting crew for Frankenstein, we have Daisuke Hirakawa, who did the voice of Jerome in the 2016 Berserk series, and Koji Tanaka in the Ajin TV series. And voicing Kadis Etrama di Razel, or Ray, is Tarusuke Shingaki, who voiced Kariya Mato in the Fate Zero TV series. For this, it was very... I've read the webtoon, and it's a very vampire story.
Just come out and say it. He's goddamn Dracula.
Yeah, I mean, he's Dracula. His servant's Frankenstein. And what I like is that Frankenstein has basically like a version of like an 80s hair metal lead singer type haircut.
Yes.
I like the dynamic between the two, where Frankenstein runs the high school, yet Razel is in charge. But there's always this kind of fun dynamic where he doesn't really know how he's trying to learn how to act around teenagers and humans in general. Yes. And it's always funny. He's still very proper, very count like. He likes ramen. He's obsessed with it. The first 3 episodes, nothing but ramen, but he lets it sit. So I think remember him saying like he wants the egg to cook. And it's just kind of funny seeing him interact with the other students. And the single fact this is another webtoon series turned anime, which I think is great.
Okay, I have a question about this.
Yeah.
Okay, now, is this truly considered a anime? Because it's a Korean series, right?
Yeah.
So you can call those animes? Because technically it's not, right? I mean,
So-
in the general sense,
If you want to break
possibly,
it, if you want to break it down based on geographical, like where the story came from, then no, it's not. You could say it's not an anime.
so that's what a manhwa is.
Manhwa.
A manhwa. That's what they call Korean anime.
It's like
essentially.
manhwa is like their manga, and it's also what they kind of
Okay.
categorize like Chinese sword novels in as well. Like kind of
Okay.
the kung fu novels are like our manhwas. But I think now it's coming since there's so many stories coming out of Korea, and then also you have a lot of anime styled games coming out of game companies from Korea, from China.
Well, you have a lot of studios actually springing up in Korea.
And
Yeah.
I'm a big Korean cinema fan as a whole. I just never really got on board with their anime just because I was like, maybe I just ignorant towards it.
For a long
I guess.
time. For a long time now, correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, but I mean, like, for a long time in the
Probably
very
are.
beginning, Korean anime back in the day was kind of like seen as like second class anime, like cheap anime, like dollar store anime. at
Yeah,
the
well, a
time.
lot of studios would outsource to Korean studios here in America to do a lot of the animation work.
Cartoon work as a whole.
Yeah,
Not
and so
necessarily
that's
the
where you
genre
that's where
of
you
Japanese animation. Yeah.
And that's where you see kind of some cartoons back in the 90s that wasn't anime, but it was done by they had the animation done by a Korean studio. But you can tell that they were telling them, hey, kind of make it look anime, but don't.
Yeah.
And so that's where it kind of came from. Like, well, okay, it's wannabe anime. They're trying to be anime, but not be anime.
Yeah.
But then you have Korean studios that in recent have
Things have changed. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of they've done one Korean studio did the Boondocks, which is a huge Adult Swim show.
See, I didn't realize that was Korean made.
Yeah, it was done by a Korean studio. So was Black Dynamite, and then even some of the DC animated films were partly done by a Korean studio.
By a Korean studio.
Yeah, see, I was aware that I think the last I read, maybe 2 years ago, like 80 to 90% of the United States animation goes to Korea.
Yeah,
So I was aware that they're like the fucking hub
Now.
of cartoons, of animation. But in terms of the Japanese animation genre, I wasn't aware that they were involved in that necessarily.
it's now considered a part of it because I think what's happening is a lot of stuff is getting any animation coming out of Asia, that Japan, China, even Korea is now being just kind of thrown into anime.
And if I'm not correct, the advent of really good manga series lately, especially the last 5 years, has made Korean anime really popular.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is that there's a lot of these Korean mangas, these manhwas that are coming out. They're already coming out.
Yeah.
But then you start, because then people were still doing scanlations of manga and fan translating it. Kind of how we had fan subs back in the day where somebody would buy the tape from Japan, they would dub it themselves, and then they would sell it. This way is kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
But then you have apps like Webtoon, which is global, and then they even have their own version of it over there, but they kind of have both. So you have these creators now putting out these comics, these manhwas that are now gaining traction around the world. That's why you had Tower of God, you had God of High School.
Yeah, because those series I heard and read about because of webtoons.
Yeah,
well, even webtoons weren't necessarily widely
it wasn't a big
known
thing
outside of the country of Korea. It wasn't until the popularity of people starting to read them on smartphones that they became a thing.
That the app actually came to America.
Yeah,
because I've had the app for years.
Really?
That's why you have like Sweet Home, that's now a live action Netflix series. Is a comic on Webtoons. You have Lord Olympus, which I believe that animated show is in production now, or it's in talks. I believe that creator is from the US though. But that's the thing, is that Webtoons has been able to help launch other shows or other series to becoming animes, to getting an animated feature, which I think is great, because then it's now a platform for people. Like every anime fan has a manga they want to do. Yeah. No matter where you're from, you have an idea for a story. And so what's great is that they put these out and people love them and read them. Which is funny because on Webtoons, if you look at what the bulk of the comic, the mangas that I read,
yeah,
they're all romance in some way.
Really?
Outside of the physical manga that I read, it's your typical shonen shit. It's what you think a typical dude in anime would read. You look at my Webtoons, top one, fucking Lore Olympus. After that, I have Noblesse. After that, I fucking don't know. I can't name all the ones that I have. I have to catch up on all of them. I have to catch up on the one where a wizard girl's in love with a demon queen. I read a shit ton of romance on there. I don't know why, but fuck it. So this show has that like 90s anime touch to it, which I like. But it's also polished, so it doesn't have that kind of gritty look to it.
Yeah, the animation quality in Noblesse is really good.
But I like that each character has their own look, their own feel. You have like in the beginning, you have like the creepy tall dude that me and my wife thought was a woman. But then you started talking, we're like, oh shit, that's a fucking dude. And then there was a sniper. She's like, that's definitely a chick. She's like, that's a fucking Widowmaker character, like Widowmaker from Overwatch, for those who don't know. Hot French woman who probably kill you even, for whatever reason. And then she's like, nope, that's a dude. She's like, that's the fucking game of anime. Is it a guy? Is it a girl? I don't fucking know. That needs
to be an actual game we play here on one of our shows.
I think
it'll be a drinking game.
That'd be a fun game.
You don't drink, right?
No, I don't.
And so David's an alcoholic, so that's a bad idea.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah. Actually, it could be a good idea then.
Yeah, everyone I get right, I don't drink, but David drinks for me. And then everyone David gets right, he has to drink. No, that's a fucking horrible idea.
That's a horrible idea.
No, I'm saying it's a good idea because then you can drink. It'll be fun to see someone who never drinks drink, and then also having an alcoholic live on the show fall off the wagon. It'd be great.
Yes, ratings.
And then I'll be going to hell that same night.
I guess it works out as long as people subscribe to the Patreon, I guess.
Yeah, as long as the show gets downloaded, thousands of times, then I think it's a win.
I'm willing to do it. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
David's gonna wake up in a corner crying, but it's a good idea.
As long as I'm just crying, don't.
We're not bringing up anything else.
Yeah, we don't want to hear about the time you stuck like an entire anime VHS tape up your asshole, because I'm sure you have a story.
Yeah, so we're going to move on. So we're going to move on back to Noblesse. And so...
well, this time I lubed up the anime cassette I pirated and just jammed it really hard up my rectum.
Welcome to Otalku Force. Have you ever seen a man shove an anime VHS up his ass? That's when you know you've really hit the dark corner of the anime.
Now, you may think, hey, well, assholes are circular and cassettes are rectangular. Well, and it may not work, but guess what? It worked. And it was pleasant.
God damn it.
It just hit my colon.
Okay.
Oh, God. This is why it's not a good idea for me to start drinking after being straight edge for all these years.
Or would it be a great idea?
No, it'd be a fucking horrible idea.
You could put up with all this.
No, exactly. I couldn't. No, because that'd probably bring out the more violent Greg.
He's gonna slay us with his Viking cock,
and then shove a tape up my ass.
You have big Viking cock.
God damn it! I say one thing at the beginning of the fucking show. God damn it! But anyways, back to the fucking review, which is why we're here. This one, the way it starts in episode 1 feels like it just drops right into the show. I don't remember hearing about Ray, seeing Ray wake up.
No.
Or anything. But then after watching the 3 episodes on Crunchyroll, it was like an OVA, original video animation, like one-shot episode called Noblesse Awakening. And I'm like, should we have watched that first too? Like, what the fuck?
Why do they do that?
Yeah.
I fucking hate that when they do that. It
throws you off.
I get so frustrated with that.
And so because I watched the 3 episodes and I liked the series. They did a great job of taking the comic or, the manhwa and putting it into an animated feature. And then I was like, fuck, like he talking about when he awakens. I'm like, I don't fucking remember seeing that. And then I'm questioning what I watched in the first episode. Like, did I really watch the first episode? Was it the first episode? Like, I'm in the fucking Matrix. I'm trying to decide whether or not what I'm eating is actually tastes like chicken or if it's actually fucking cream of wheat. And then I realized it's neither. I was eating pizza, so,
Well, better pizza than this than other things. Let's just keep it at that.
Yeah, let's keep it back on track here. Yeah,
keep it safe.
Yeah.
Okay, keep us on track.
If you have to switch to Linux, David, please switch to Linux.
I will hit restart.
Thank you. But I do like how each character develops through each episode. That you start kind of seeing like Rizel's kind of his attitude. And when you have two other Noblesse show up who can't tell that he's one of them. And he's just kind of like, I'm going to continue on with my shit. Fuck you. And they're just like, why isn't he affected by us? Like, why can't we control him with like our powers? They never know because he's always so fucking straight faced.
Yeah. He shows no emotion whatsoever because essentially he is a vampire. And that is the stereotypical vampire trait is like, I'm emotionless because I'm undead. And I'm going to be honest. I really wanted to like Noblesse.
Yeah.
But there was just a part of me that basically was like going, I've seen this story before. And
was it A Tale as Old as Time?
On a magic carpet ride?
No, I was going with Beauty and the Beast, you dumb fuck.
I thought it's a magic carpet ride.
No.
But anyways, not to get sidetracked because I'm going to restart again. But you have these concepts that are very familiar to me. And it just seems like, the whole, he's not calling him a vampire for some strange reason just bothered me.
Well, but what I like how they explained it was that people in the past, humans in the past relied on them for protection.
Yeah.
And they were subservient to them because they protected them and they basically made sure they were taken care of. And the way they described it, that they did that because they knew humans were weak and they kind of did, that was part of their character. That's how their families, that's how these noble families operated, these nobles.
Yes.
And so I think it's a different take on the vampire. And that's what I liked about it. It wasn't your typical, I'm a vampire, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't your typical, vampires are ruling class, humans are food.
Well, especially when you get to the jokes of, when he takes there's at one point he takes chopsticks, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you have this like weird flashback of him panicking about getting staked in the heart. And I'm like going, yes, I get it. He's a vampire.
But no, I like that because then but it also shows kind of a change from then to now. But what I like is the difference in the nobles. Because you have Rizel, who's kind of your typical like emotionless vampire type character.
Yeah.
Shows very little emotion, if any. And then you have the two other nobles that show up where one is exactly like him. The girl out of the two, the boy and the girl is exactly like him. She's very calm, no real emotion, just kind of, hey, I'm here. But then the brother, he's kind of your arrogant vampire type.
Yes. The aristocratic vampire.
Yeah. Where like you should be why don't you do what I tell you? Like that, that very arrogant, very kind of stuck in the old ways, if you will. But that's what I like about it is that they show there's a difference between these characters. And then you have the Union who in its own has its own internal conflicts. Because you have them where they have like their black squad, like their black, black site squad that, does all their black ops, all their secret missions, and they're all kind of badasses in their own way.
It felt very like Helsing in a lot of ways.
But then they had like their modified humans, which is Frankenstein's not included in that for those listening. Frankenstein's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But a very pretty Frankenstein. So, imagine if Dr. Frankenstein created his monster, but also was really good at plastic surgery. But then you have these modified humans who have abilities beyond what we have. And you meet one of them who just wants to live his life and just wants to find out what his real name is. But then you have the Union coming in and bringing up everything about some mission. And I like that they intertwine everything, but it's not a garbled fucking mess where you're like, what the fuck is going on?
I will agree with you there that to me, it wasn't garbled. It wasn't garbled. As I said, I really wanted to hate Noblesse, but as the series went along by 3, it started slowly winning me over.
Yeah.
And It's because I was actually looking at the whole thing, like what you were saying. It's the same thing that we've always been seeing, but it's just slightly skewed to the point that basically it's not annoying. Where I've seen this before, I know what's going to happen.
Well, because if you look at every story where a vampire kind of lives throughout the centuries,
mm-hmm.
or wakes up, in a new time period and has to adjust to the world, the era he's in now. It's your typical, he tries to do the shit that he always did, but then has to realize, I can't do that.
You can't.
And then modify, and then like changes a little bit by the end.
And I like that element of like a man out of time.
Yeah. But this one basically, it does that, but it does it in a way where it's not messy. It's
Mm-hmm.
not your typical thing where Rizal wakes up and wants to be a high school student.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have things where he's learning how to live in this era where he gets a cell phone and he starts learning how to send, texts. But what I like about the series as well, and what I liked about, is you kind of have that hint of, it's not your typical where you have kind of the nerdy kid. You find out that he's gay.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, he warms up to the other noble. And he's like, how tall are you? Oh, I'm the same height. Oh, what are your hobbies? What do you like? And his friend going, what the fuck? And his friend going, wait a minute. Is he into guys too? Like what? No, it's okay. It's okay.
That's normal now.
And it's, but it mixes in those things where it's not just like your typical, oh, here's vampires coming into like this century.
Yeah.
And how they take over.
No.
Or how they run through it.
And I'm really honestly appreciative that they didn't do that, because I'll be, I was really...
Keep being honest, David. You keep saying I'm going to be honest, so just keep being honest.
I was really on the
fence?
The fence with this anime compared to like a couple of the animes that we've covered already. Because, I don't know, there was just something, it's probably just not the type of anime for me.
Yeah.
But
I also think if we watch the Awakening episode,
I'm glad you brought that up, because I found that out after I watched
all three, and I'm like, fuck, should I watch this one first? Like,
and all of a sudden I get to that and I'm like going, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me that episode 1's not really episode 1? And I went back and I watched Awakening.
Yeah.
It makes it more sense.
Oh, okay. So then, yeah. So folks, if you're listening to this and you're going to check out Noblesse, if you haven't already, definitely watch Noblesse Awakening and then watch the series.
Yes.
Because I saw it, I was like, man, no, it'd be cool. Like, that's probably like a little one shot that has like maybe like a little backstory, like nothing that's going to really hinder me watching the TV series. And then I realized afterwards, like, fuck, I should watch that first, because they keep referencing like when he woke up, when this happened, this and that. And they show flashback scenes and I'm like, I don't remember watching that. And then I highly question my own fucking sanity. We're like, shit, did I watch that? I don't remember.
And unfortunately, that's what was really frustrating for me for the 3 episodes. I mean, everything else was okay, but that little thing, because I'm when it comes to
completionist,
but also kind of like writing, because it feels like I'm getting an incomplete story. Right.
Well, that's why I said, that's why I mentioned, like, it felt like the first episode kind of drops you into everything, because from what I remember reading the manhwa at the beginning, I'm like, man, like, I feel like I'm missing something, but maybe they'll jump back to, maybe they're going to Tarantino. They're
going to have a flashback.
Maybe they're going to
at this point.
Maybe they're going to Tarantino it. This is they're doing something different with the show. They're doing something different the first episode and then roll it all into the following the manhwa, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And so, but with that still, it didn't take away from me enjoying this.
Okay.
So, for me, for this show, I'm going to give it a yay.
And for me, I'm going to give it a nay. I'm going to give it a nay, just because it's just not the type of anime for me, because there were just too many times that I was like I was on the verge of being annoyed. And then you have that moment where it's like, oh, wait, you mean to tell me that you gave me 3 episodes, but I have to go back and watch a different OVA to understand the character's history? That like pushed me over to saying, like, I was borderline yay, but now I was a nay.
And then ever personing the board, Mike, did you get a chance to watch Noblesse?
Yeah, I did. I was okay with it. There were definitely some narrative issues with the writing. I didn't know there was an OVA
Yeah, I think
so. When you said that, it made complete sense because I do feel like I missed something.
Yeah,
and I don't want to say it's an. Before you told me there was an OVA, I would say nay. But now that you say there's an OVA, I might say yay because it's not terrible. I just feel like I just felt like I was thrown in the middle of a story and I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, and the thing when you look it up on Crunchyroll, they don't have them next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
In the list, it's like here's Noblesse.
That's awful. Like,
2 or 3 shows in between Noblesse Awakening.
Yes,
and it gives the idea of like, oh, I don't have to watch that. And
why would they do that?
I don't know. But
that's so frustrating.
So for our listeners, if you're going to check out Noblesse, watch Noblesse Awakening first and then watch the TV series. It will help make everything a lot easier.
Yeah.
Which would have been nice for us before reviewing this show. So we have 2 yays and an A. So again, another split show.
Another split show.
Which is fine. And so guys, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk about our second show, which is, I feel, completely different than what we've ever talked about before. So we'll see you guys in a few short moments.
Open sesame!
When you look back at the card, who had the best character development? Who had the best? I mean,
Jesus, I would say it's probably Captain Rios.
Captain Rios is up there.
I don't even think I don't even give a fuck about that show, Dave. What's the name of the girl?
Raffi?
No, the fucking main girl, the android. Data's fake daughter.
Soji.
Yeah, Soji. I mean, you could say she is the focus, but this is what we know of her. She was created. She was then sent out. Then she went to go look for her home again. Okay. That's her fucking story! David, I get so angry. I hate the card, dude. It's so awesome. It's the worst series I've ever watched, David. It makes me cry, Dave.
No.
If the listeners can hear my pain and my tears in my voice, it's because they're there. David, this show, Picard, hurts me.
Oh no, I'm with you.
It is an awful show. Star Trek from the Holodeck, exclusively on Rain Man Digital. Head over to rainmandigitalmedia.com or search for it wherever you listen to podcasts.
End simulation.
Free stuff is awesome, but free stuff that will spice up your bedroom is even better. Just go to adamandeve.com and select almost any one item for 50% off, and then we'll load on the free stuff. Just enter this very exclusive code, RAINMAN, at checkout, and you'll get 10 tantalizing free gifts, including a sexy item for him, a special toy for her, and a third item you'll both enjoy. And 6 extra special bonus items that are sure to rev your engine, pique your curiosity, and even blow you away. Plus, free shipping! Always sent in discreet packaging. Go to adamandeve.com now. Get 50% off, plus the 10 free gifts when you enter the exclusive offer code RAINMAN. Again, that's RAINMAN. Because without it, no free.
All right, everybody, and welcome back to Otaku Force. So we just talked about Noblesse, and again, I like our last show, we kind of had a split decision, I'd say split decision, 2 yays and an A. But our next show that we're going to talk about, definitely something different than whatever we've talked about before. This is, I would say, our first full-on sports anime that we talked about. Yes, we did Megalobox, but that was more of a futuristic boxing.
Yeah, that was. I
don't want to consider that a sports. Fantasy. I want to consider that a sports anime, but this one is full on in the sports anime genre. Iwa Kakeru, Iwa Kakeru, I'm saying that wrong, Sport Climbing Girls.
There you go.
Sport climbing is a sport that makes use of both the body and the brain to climb walls. Kasahara Konomi, a master at puzzles, just happens to discover her school's climbing wall, and it looks almost like a colorful sort of puzzle in her eyes. This fateful encounter brings big change to Konomi's life, with her teammates in the Hanamiya Girls High School Climbing Club. Konomi races for the top in this passionate climbing story. Production is done by Blade, who hasn't anything really big that I've at least seen. One of them is Donten ni Waru Gaiden, Kitsubetsu Yamanu no Chikai. And I swear, I'm sorry, guys, I'm trying to pronounce it as best I can. And the voice actor for Konomi Kasahara was done by Sumire Uesaka, who did the voice of Akashi, Queen Elizabeth, and Warspite in the animated version of Azure Lane, which is based off of the mobile game, where you have ships that are cute anime girls fighting each other.
Yes.
Some with giant titties, which I don't know how they do it, but fuck it. If Warfare looked like that, cool. I'm all for joining the army or whatever at that point, I guess.
You and pretty much everybody else.
But watching this, I was like, man, like, cause I don't watch a lot of sports animes. Hajime no Ippo, I think would be the closest. Ashita no Joe.
Yes.
Would be the closest, I would say, that I've watched to an actual sports anime. I don't think I can say Grappler. I think I can say Baki is really a sports anime. It's a fighting anime.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to anime, this falls in the genre of like, for anime fans who are familiar with Slam Dunk.
Slam Dunk, Haikyuu, Free. Was it Freeze, which is the ice skating one?
Yes. And then there was a swim team one. I'm trying to remember.
Free.
Was that Free?
Yeah, it's Free.
Okay.
What? I know all these. I've never watched any of them, but I know of them.
You know of them.
But that's what I get for working Phoenix Comic Con. I hear about all these and I'm like, oh, I should watch these. I never have any time. It's like any other fucking anime fan. Never have time to watch any of these. So, Mike, have you ever watched any other sports animes? Have you heard of any like ones you knew were sports animes?
Always just kind of veered away from them, just not really big on them. However, I was pleasantly surprised with this one.
Yeah,
it was clever. In a lot of ways, it reminded me of Food Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot more subtle in the way of sexual innuendos. There was definitely some lesbian undertones, without a doubt. But they were a lot more subtle than Food Wars. Food Wars, I mean, that's their bread and butter with Food Wars. That's what they do to fuck with you. But with this series here, I liked the subtleties. I liked the cleverness, especially with how that one girl, I cannot pronounce her name, one of our leads, figures out how to climb walls.
It's like
because of puzzles.
Yeah, it's like those match games where you have to like match all the colors in a row. Like, fuck, I'm gonna really make myself seem dumb. Like Disney's Tsum Tsum game, where you have to, encircle all the different, same Tsum Tsum like characters, like little cutesy Mickey or Minnie or Donald or whatever, and that. But I think it's cool because I was like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna like this because I've never watched like actual sports animes. I've had people saying you gotta watch Free, you gotta watch I forgot the name of it. Freeze, though, like Slam Dunk, everybody's like, you should watch that because it's like all the boy, that's the typical sports anime that guys like.
But honestly, this is why I actually tell people to watch the sports anime, because I actually like the old. It used to be just for like Shonen Jump and basically boy mangas and stuff like that. But it's like when it comes to the sports anime, they have to get clever. They really do.
But it's also like it's like a version of slice of life, because you don't have like superpowers or any like these big monsters you're fighting or these epic adventures. It's for some it's like we gotta win this competition.
Yes,
we've got to with Ashita no Joe and Hajime no Ippo, it's I have to be the best boxer.
Yes,
and with this one it was she's like, well, I got to join a club.
Yes.
And then she sees the climbing wall. She's like, what's this? And then she figures out she likes it. And she's kind of almost like a natural. And then you find out that she used to be like a huge gamer and that she was like a, champion, mobile game player, puzzle game player.
Puzzle game.
And they even go back to that when you meet basically the daughter of like Japan's top climbing, free climbing expert. She beats her at like 10 games in a row at ZWBY. Like, it's supposed to be Ruby, but it's like, oh, I'm really good at Zuby. And I'm like, is that supposed to be like Ruby? Like the fucking, like the cartoon and shit? Like okay, fair enough. But what I like about this is that they have those kind of those kind of those characters you'd have in like another anime, like where they have the different climbing characters, like where they have their own nicknames. Like there's one like the Red Stormtrooper, and there's one like like the Spider Lady or some shit, like the Panther. Yes. Like they have all these different ones that have their own abilities at why they're good at climbing. Like even her, she gets the nickname. I think it's I have it written down on my notes, but it's basically she even gets like a really kind of creative nickname. It's Mother Eye. Yeah. And I'm like going, that works. That works for that character. Because she looks at it and she sees like the puzzle. She sees how the best way to get to the top. And the animation's great. It's I don't want to say it's cutesy, but it's kind of shoujo, but it's not. That's what I was going to say is it's shoujo-ish. But it's also like there's some points where it has, like Mike said, that Food Wars feel, like with some of their cuts and everything. Mm-hmm. And especially when they show her strategy. Yeah. Like that reminds me of when they go to how he's about to cook and the things he's going to do to wow someone with his food. It reminds me kind of that. It was like, oh, I'm going to do this. Like, if I take this and I subtly saute the onions for about 2 seconds. It's like a chess player's mentality. It's almost like the action is in the thinking process. Is it wrong that I want the main girl to fall all the time so her titties will bounce? Like, is that that's your form of fan service, Mike? Okay. Yeah, you're not alone, Mike. When alone. She got to the top of that wall the first time, I was like, oh, God bless you. Her titties made it first. They're the first ones to the top. It was not her hands, it was her tits. Jesus. Whatever, Greg. Don't deny it, Greg. Don't deny it. I'm gonna find nothing but fan service animes for the next show and see how everybody fucking does. But that's the thing is like when you take a step back from this anime, it shouldn't be as clever as it is, and that's what's really the impressive thing. And then I thought to myself, well, wait a minute, this is what sports animes are all about. They have to take this type of genre and infuse it with something that makes it interesting. And are you guys fans typically of sports anime? I am. Are you really? Yeah. The only one I watched was Hajime no Ippo and Ashita no Joe. I mean, both boxing animes. Yeah. And when I was actually watching anime regularly back in the day, I was watching Slam Dunk. There was a soccer one that I really liked. And there was even a anime based on the Japanese board game Go. And it was basically like the player would go, it's much like a chess fighting match. And stuff like that is like really interesting because it pushes the creativity that you have to do as a writer. And at first, when I saw the list of animes that we were going to cover this particular week, and I saw this, I was like going, this might be the bad one. And instead, out of the 2 animes we covered, I had so much more fun watching this than the first one. Noblesse. Because like I actually found myself sitting there going, oh, I like the fact that the character is actually you do end up rooting for her, and that's something that's important in a sports anime. I should say I've watched one other sports anime. That was the wrestling one. The girl was like I want to be the strongest or something like that. Mm-hmm. But that was also a lot of fan service shots. Yes. Crotch shots, Mike. That's what I'm referring to. Oh. And you get a lot of fan service shots in this one. So yeah, but there's more in like who's the strongest. I think it's who's the strongest is what it's called. Yes. Because like they're wrestling holds, they keep doing it. I'm just like, okay, I get it. It's 2 women wrestling, and everybody has like a semi-giant chest. Let's fucking go on. Like I get it. Greg is looking at his own crotch, going, I get it. I get it. But I liked this because it was something that we haven't talked about before, and I always try and see stuff that we as anime fans might not normally watch. Yeah, I would never choose to watch this on my own, and yet I ended up enjoying it probably more than the previous one. No, definitely more than the previous one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing I like about it is that it kind of goes through like everybody can kind of go back to like when they started doing some sort of sport, and they're like, but when you connect with like the sport that you like playing a lot, whether you still play or you don't. You stop playing as a kid. Like if you loved playing baseball as a kid and you stopped because you just got bored or, you know, you found out you were going to make it in the majors and you're just like, well, fuck it. I don't want to do it anymore. I guess I'll, you know, work at a power plant or something. I don't know.
Wow, that's really specific. Oddly specific.
That's oddly specific.
Shut up.
Well, I guess I'll just...
You got to cut that out.
I guess I'll just do a podcast on a shitty network to fill my dreams.
Mike, do I look like somebody who'd want to play fucking baseball?
I guess I'll just have some shitty friends.
Burnt out Greg, new character.
Just give up on my dreams.
Give up on my dreams.
Burned out Greg.
Oh, we got 2 new Gregs this show. We have Viking Cock Greg and Burnt Out Greg.
Burnt out Greg.
I was going to make films the rest of my life, but fuck it.
Hey, listen, we got 3 Gregs, actually. We got also non-drinking Greg.
Non-drinking Greg.
Non-drinking Greg's been here the entire fucking time.
But
it's never been an actual character, but I understand.
You definitely are onto something. There's something about the sports animes that just connects with everyone. It's kind of like
but
that.
each one has
like watching Rocky.
But each one has its own thing that people grasp onto.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in Free and then what is the ice skating one? Like Free. I want to say Freeze. That's gonna be sounds really like fucking lazy.
I can't remember
of me like what it's called, but like those are very popular with girls. From my remembrance of, you know, working Comic-Con.
That's so sexist, Greg.
And
I'm gonna say it. Now we have another character. Now another Greg. Sexist Greg. So many Gregs this episode,
right? Yeah, Freeze. Yeah, no, that's freezing. God damn it! I'm digging myself a fucking hole here.
But it's definitely understandable. Like what you said. Like what I was about to say is like
Yuri on Ice. That's what it's called.
Yuri on Ice. Oh,
but that's the thing is that I think from that a lot of the panels that we did were all run by all girl groups because they loved the show because the guys in it were cute. They're, you know, for animated characters, they're attractive. You know, Free. They're shirtless. They're swimming in water. They're, you know, they have to be muscular to swim.
And there were so many yaoi doshidens.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
What is that?
Yaoi?
Yaoi.
That's man
yaoi.
love.
Man love.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, we talked about that on a show once.
Yeah, very early on. And we also said Yuri was girl on girl.
We should review some of those. The Yuri, not the Yahweh. The Yahweh? Yahweh? What are we talking about? God now? No, Yowie.
Yowie.
Yowie wowie. Think of it like that, Mike.
Not the Yahweh one. We'll do the Yuri one.
You know, now I'm going to sneak in a Yowie one here just to fuck with you.
And I'm going to just be sitting there, oh, okay, cool.
Can I shove this up my ass?
But that's the thing is that there's always something on there. Slam Dunk, it's always, you know.
Oh, that's
run a long fucking time.
That's run long.
It's like the 80s?
Very, very long time. Yeah, since the 80s.
And then you have like Haiku, which is like a volleyball one.
That one actually, I believe, ran.
It's still going.
It's still going.
I think it's today. I don't want to say it's about to end, but I just know they're going like to a big climax here for it.
Mm-hmm.
But every time like I read about sports animes or, you know, I hear about it from fans, you know, when I would do Phoenix Comic-Con, Fan Fusion, Fan Fest, whatever we were calling it that year, and the passion for it was great. And they're like, you got to watch it. It's so good. And then, of course, like, yeah, I'll check it out. Definitely check it out. I don't have time to check it all out.
There's too many things.
I've got shit. I got to keep up. I got to restart JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because I have no fucking idea where I left off. I just, you know, I don't want to say I just got caught up, but I had to rewatch Seven Deadly Sins so I could remember what the fuck happened at the end.
Yes.
There's all the shit that I need to watch. and now, like, in doing the show, all the stuff that I watched that I liked that I want to keep going with, that goes on the fucking list of anime that I got to watch.
Just like this one.
Oh, yeah. And so now it's going to be in that list of, okay, what do I watch first?
So you're going to keep watching this one?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to finish it just because the way the first episode starts, it's kind of one of those like where she goes up against like one of her biggest tests against like one of these, you know, big four, you know, big, whatever the big five. And like
she falls and then you watch her journey suddenly, okay, you've seen what the end goal is.
And now you're going to see how she gets there. And so it's kind of like when I watched Who I'm Going to Be the Strongest, like the all-girl wrestling anime. I was like, oh, I'll watch it. And it's like, okay, this is nothing but like fan service, but I want it. Like, I have to see the end. Like, I want to see if she actually completes her goal. I think it was to win the title.
It's the love of the hero's journey. That's what it is because you're seeing a person strive for something. And who doesn't relate to that? Because what I was going to mention is like why a lot of film fans like the film Rocky. They like Rocky because they want to see him win in the end. Here, it's interesting that basically they found a way to make rock climbing a competition. And this need to basically want to be the best at rock climbing. I never thought I'd ever see it. And the thing that also I like that you pointed out is like anybody can watch this. It doesn't have to be all girls or all guys. Guys and girls can get this character, get this story and actually get into it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that in the shows that we've talked about before, there was always a clear define of what was going on. It's a shonen anime. It's all action. It's all fighting. More story driven. It's fan service. It's a classic. It's something that everybody can watch, back and forth, however we want to categorize it. And it's always been something like, oh, if you like this, you'll like this part of it. Oh, if you like this, you like this one, or you like this part of this one, or whatever. You can relate to this. But then when you get to a sports anime, again, I'm going to bring up Megalobox because, again, it is boxing. It's futuristic boxing, but it's still boxing. I wouldn't categorize it as sports anime, but you watch Megalobox because you want to know, is he going to be the champ?
Yeah.
Is he going to win? It's much like the reason why you watch Baki or King and Ashura.
Yes.
You want to find out, is he really the strongest? And the stories for those are all basic. It's fighting. There's underlying stories like Baki hates his dad and wants to beat the shit out of his dad. Who hasn't get into a fight with your dad and beat the shit out of him at some point?
Yeah.
But the main story going through, are they going to win? Will they make it? Do they make it to the top? Do they become the best at what they do? And I think with this is why this, I think, connected with all of us and like, oh, I want to finish it, is because it was outside of our norm.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't, but it had like things that we all kind of, like Mike brought up Food Wars. We brought up like other sports animes that we've each watched, you more than the rest of us. But there was something in there that we all grasped onto. So for this show, I'm going to give it a yay.
Okay.
Yourself?
I'm definitely giving this one a yay.
Give it a yay. Mike?
A yay.
So we've got 3 yays for the first show, 2 yays and an A for the first show was 2 yays and an A. Our second show, all 3 yays. Guys, definitely, we always thank you for letting us into, your home, your radio, your phone, wherever you're listening to it. And you guys can find all these on Crunchyroll. These are all on Crunchyroll, whether you have a free or paid account. You can find all of them. Mostly probably watch all the episodes already they have released. They're great. Go support it. Let us know what you liked. Let us know what you didn't like about these shows. Definitely interact with us, guys. Again, you can listen to us on RaymanDigitalMedia.com, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. You can find us there. Mike, thank you for personing the board yet again.
No problem.
And David, thank you again, as always, for joining me.
Arigato gozaimasu.
And as always, folks, I am Gregory Darkside Holmes. Thank you for joining us for Otalku Force, and we'll be back.